Guten Morgen. All that. I don't know how to say how are you in German, but good morning. Just getting things set up. Just waking up a little bit. Hopefully you guys are all doing good. Let me just fix this lighting here. Also, I got this new little dude. I fucking love this little guy. I'm gonna pull up the charts. We're gonna wait for, we're not gonna wait, but we're gonna get Alex and Evan in here too. So we'll be having episode of Rise Up Morning Show hosted here. Let me just ping them also, so we can get the show on the road. But I'll start things off first by pulling up the Bitcoin chart and talking a little bit. I have the live on. All right, cool. They're gonna be here. But how you guys doing? How you guys doing this morning? Oh, Evan is here. Wonderful, lovely. Love to see that. Hopefully we're just in panel or grid mode, and your wonderful hair can be shown to everybody on the big screen. Here we go. How you doing, dude?
Love it. I'm doing good. How are you? How was your day at the flea market yesterday?
My girlfriend and I were there. Also, for those guys who don't know, we were in the Brimfield Flea Market, which is the largest antiques flea market in the country. It is 5,000 vendors across I think it's between 25 to 30 acres of just mostly garbage, but like some cool things. It was dope. We were there from 9:30 in the morning until 4 p.m. just walking on our feet, just boom, 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 boom. Also, I'm the worst shopper in the world. I get into a store and I go, I'm gonna look for stuff, and then 5 minutes later, I'm just like, energy's just gone, zero. Yeah. It's like my life force got sucked out. But there was like enough cool stuff every now and again to like just keep the adrenaline bumping. Also, there was a bunch of like really racist shit and like Nazi memorabilia shit. We were like, okay, all right, that's cool. Anyway, do we burn this? Do we keep it? Do we burn it? Is it for history? Do we burn it? Can I burn it? Do we burn it? Can I burn it?
I'd like to buy these and host a bonfire at my house. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, dude, there was this one moment where my girlfriend and I walk up, and it's like one of those like really bad characters of like black people, and it's like like there's like, oh, we just saw that and we're like, oh my god, and then we walked away, and then this like middle-aged woman, and it came from a place of innocence, but she walked up and she's like, oh honey, look, these are so cute, and my girlfriend and I were just walking away, we were like, oh no, oh shit, oh damn it, white people. But like she meant it, like she was like really thought it was cute, and we're just like, oh no. But other than the racist stuff and the Nazi stuff, there's a bunch of really cool stuff. My girlfriend got a $120 watch for $30.
What?
Yeah. It was awesome because you can haggle and negotiate with people. She also got a new necklace for $15. That was better quality than something we paid for $100 here in the middle of Austin. We got a bunch. We got this terrarium that has a ton of Venus flytraps in it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Cool. It was the coolest plant store that was there, and they like set up this entire like plant tent, and it was sick. And my girlfriend likes it because now there's a crystal in there too, and she's like, it'll charge the fly traps, and I was like, whatever helps them eat the fruit flies we have. So cool, perfect, do it. Yeah. There was a bunch of nerd stuff, so I got some cards. Some One Piece cards I thought I would open on the show. Also, but this guy from Fire.
Look at that. That's amazing.
Wait, hold on. Bam!
Oh yeah. That's cool as hell.
And the big item that I bought for myself was this guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
So it'll go right here, right below my Carl Kling poster. But
looks like all in all, it was a very successful day. It sounds like
it was a good day. And then I bought like some pins and stuff that are also on my knickknacks. And yeah, I was gonna give the motorcycle parts and repair thing to my dad for Christmas. I was like, early Christmas gift. And then I put it in my office, and I realized there's a perfect spot for us. And I was like, what a great gift for myself. It's a lovely gift for myself. But yeah, dude, it was good. How was your day yesterday?
Oh, listen, man, my day was not that exciting. It was honestly a boring day in terms of the stuff. I mostly worked on show stuff. We did exciting things, but it wouldn't be exciting to the people here. And we're growing the Rise Up Morning Show, surprise. And then I did a gig. I played at a place called Villa Castriati here in Memphis. So regular stuff for me. I sang, I danced, I had some supper, and then went grocery shopping. So, no, you had the exciting story. And then the other story I wanted to hear about was Alex's candy bar story from his news, where a gentleman was held up for his Bitcoin holdings with a candy bar. And he acquiesced.
Oh.
So you said you were going to pull out the Bitcoin chart. I didn't mean to derail you. Please take a look at it. Give us some real meat, some real context. And then when Alex gets here, if I don't remember, remind me that we need the story about how the Bitcoin thief used a Toblerone bar to separate one man from his digital gold.
I mean, we got to know about that. All right, let's do this. Maybe he was allergic to nuts and it had a Toblerone bar that had nuts in it. Maybe the guy.
It would have done it. It would have done it.
It would have done it. So let's see. Let's actually clear this line. Let's clear that line out. Okay. What we're looking at here is the daily chart for Bitcoin. Sorry for my shakiness. If you saw my daily update video, not going to mention too much here that is different. But what we see is a new relative lower low. This point here to this point. This is obviously bearish. This bearishly, we've now engulfed this positive day that we had in a bearish way, which for those of you guys don't know, it means we've erased the positive price action we had here. And another big thing is we have a big rejection off of the 21-day exponential moving average, the 200-day exponential moving average, and the 12-day exponential moving average. This isn't a big surprise because when you have, basically it happened nearly twice. So we had the 12-day exponential moving average come close to crossing the 200-day, and Bitcoin was like, no, we're going to do well. Oh, no. And then it's like, oh, we're going to do it this time. And Bitcoin said, no. And basically usually after even just one fake out, let alone two, you are going to get, the event to happen. So we now officially have a death cross. Now, a death cross is a really scary name, but typically death crosses happen either when you're halfway through or closer to the end of a bearish trend, right? So that's something to keep aware of, right? But it is a bearish trend. Some people put a lot of faith in it, but I feel like most people who have a lot of experience tend to take a death cross as like a really scary marketing term. That does mean that like, hey, you're actually usually halfway through or getting closer to the end of a bear trend. However, do keep in mind that when we come to the monthly time frame, we've been in a air quotes bear trend for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, right? So if we're halfway through, then we have another 5 months of downside action potentially ahead of us, right? So keep your eyes on the long-term time frame. The long-term time frame is telling us that the trend is not your friend. Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, right? And the monthly stochastic RSI still has plenty of room to the downside. So, I'm sounding like a perma bear right now. I am not. I believe Bitcoin will go up long term, right? It's just the stock market took a big hit, which means Bitcoin's going to take a big hit. And the other thing too, let me switch back to myself, is I do feel like we have a lot of new Bitcoin investors in the ETF products, right? People who've only played with stocks on BlackRock and Fidelity. And this is the first time they've ever been exposed to crypto levels of volatility. Because, if you're in a stock and your stock goes down 10%, that's like a catastrophe. If it goes down 5 or 4% in a day, it's a horrific day. Whereas for us, we're like, oh, what was that, like the past 10 seconds here, right? So, but like
just a Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time they've been exposed to that. So like a lot of them could be having heart palpitations, seeing Bitcoin go.
I'm really interested to see the numbers when we get them about how many people bought for the first time. There's a project, I think they're called the Satoshi Foundation or the Satoshi Project or something like that. I'll look it up and have it prepped for a future show. but they do a lot of research about Bitcoin specifically and demographics of holders. They just released a report I want to get my hands on that I think talks about how many American citizens across the political spectrum, it's sort of an election focused thing, hold Bitcoin and the other issues they're concerned about, as well as it's just trying to tell a better story about people who hold Bitcoin to combat some of the, the stigma about cryptocurrency, as it were. But that's a stat I'll be interested to know is, at the end of it all, how many people bought Bitcoin for the first time? Because they're just clenching when they see stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I would, and I don't know if we're ever going to get the stats, right, coming out of BlackRock. It's not like it's on chain, right?
Yeah, it's not like they poll people when they, make the swipe.
Yeah. Please, can you tell us about how you sold this asset at a loss, please?
Right. And what's your age? Yeah.
And what's your age? And also, we need this other data because a bunch of crypto bros on TikTok want to make.
Are you black or white? How are you voting this fall?
Are you black or white? that would just be funny.
Those are the only options. Sorry, Mexico.
Sorry, every other person. I'm trying to pull up the other thing I wanted to share today because we have something important happening today.
Well, while you pull it up, maybe I can ping you with some of these rapid fire questions that folks have in response to Bitcoin, and invite anybody. If you do have a question, this is your show. We would love to hear from you. If you're one of our community members, please feel free to hit the request button. We'll bring you up. I know we have Doug, who has joined us earlier, and he was going through some of the numbers. So Doug, I don't know if you might have some context to add. It certainly would be welcome. The questions we have here are, should I be DCAing? Anything I can buy this morning that's going up 5 or 10% today? And Rick has a really good comment about how, Rick, where did it go? Did it do this? Oh, that I think by the Fed cut, hopefully we'll be on and up.
Yeah, I have my thoughts on both. So if you're dollar cost averaging right now, understand that because the long-term trend we're in is bearish and we haven't seen a long-term shift in that trend, you're finding yourself in a position where you're catching a falling knife. I'm glad. I have so many knives in my office I can actually...
It's the perfect problem, man.
Yeah. And you're potentially in a position where you're catching a falling knife and you're getting cut each time. Now, if you are looking to add to your positions for Bitcoin, and it's a long-term holding position, that can make sense, right? You're like, cool, I want the simplest approach. I don't want to time things. I just want to buy a little bit of Bitcoin. If you're doing that with altcoins, you're potentially putting yourself in a position to get absolutely obliterated. Because if this is a bear market for another 5 months or so, like we just said, if this death cross is really like the halfway point, then you have 5 months of additional downside action for your altcoins. They're going to go down another 90% from where they are now. And then it's basically like, cool, we had a 9-month bull run. Now we've had a 9-month bear run. Market has been washed clean. Now we need to see which of those, it's basically like the beginning of a 4-year cycle again in my head, if that happens, where you're like, cool, all the altcoins we had pop up before are all old, which means I now need to basically throw them in the trash in my head when it comes to evaluating altcoins and look to see which layer ones we're still building and doing well. How about Solana, Avalanche, a few things like that. And then you need to start to see what very few altcoins that are old now from the old cycle. I'm doing air quotes around that because it's not, in this case, the cycle would be broken. And then you need to keep your eyes out for what new coins are coming out, what new coins are hot, right? You need to find yourself, get rid of the old, focus on the new, right? I basically think you need to kind of reset your thought on which altcoins are potentially good investments and not again in that case. And then for the Fed, here's the thing. So the Fed's rate decision, which is most likely going to be a cut of rates, is supposed to come on September 18th. Now, typically, the general rule of thumb in investing and trading is that when you have an event, a known event that you know is going to be bullish, right? You buy the rumor of the event happens, and you sell the event. However, this is a little different, and I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen because the event of rates being cut was pretty much told to us when Jerome Powell had his speech, 2 Fridays ago in Jackson Hole, where he came out and he said, hey, it's time for the Fed to change, right? So that was basically, since then, we've been on a downtrend for the most part. NVIDIA's earnings saved the stock market. Dell's earnings saved the stock market. We had that little rally, but then, more and more people are selling early. I feel like a lot of people are selling that news event of the rate cuts happening on the 18th sooner because the confidence level shot up to such a high level after Jerome Powell spoke that we're getting that buy the rumor and sell the news happening earlier. So there is a chance that enough people have sold the rumor ahead of the rate cuts that when the rates are announced, the sell-off might not be as bad from that point, or it's going to potentially be a small bump. But when I'm looking at the stock market too, I see, I see a long-term downtrend setting up, personally myself. And I'll bring up the daily chart for the stock market as well, because if you were looking at the S&P 500 from a technical standpoint, it's really, really not good. So this is the S&P 500. This is all the way back in, July 16th. Here's where this is the daily.
Oh.
This is the daily.
I'm sorry, I thought July 16th you meant 2016.
Oh, no.
I was like, Jesus.
Morning. Morning. So what we have right here is this a V-shaped recovery? Yes, but at the same time, this is also a lower relative high from this point here. And we're also seeing basically how the price is shaping out is it's just this rolling over. And we have a gap here on the chart that we want to fill that we're just about to fill. And then we have another gap here on the 1 hour time frame, and we have another gap down here at the 1 hour time frame. This is what the stock market wants to do. However, on the flip side, this yellow line is another gap we have on the 1 hour. But we can fill any of these gaps, tomorrow, or we can fill them months down the line, right? But I would say the overarching trend in the stock market is clearly this rolling over, and it wants to come down to here, and then maybe here, and then maybe all the way down to the 200-day. So if the stock market does that, what's Bitcoin going to do, guys? I mean, there's going to be a lot of pressure to come down at least to 48,000. And if we break this line here, which is a major line of support and resistance since all the way back to 2019, us falling down to the 35,000 range is entirely possible, which sucks to say, but it's entirely within the realm of possibility unless we get some really good news, And that good news could be China unbanning crypto. I see rumors of that popping up on Twitter. If China unbans crypto, that could be a huge boon to the industry. Yeah, and I don't know where.
I just don't think it would be that big of a. Why do you think it would be such a big deal?
Well, China's the second biggest economic and financial center in the world. They have a really, really hurting real estate industry, which is by far and away their number one investment source for people by a wide margin, huge margin. People invest in the real estate market in China. They do not invest in Chinese stocks, or they invest in the U.S. stock market. And so that's one reason why you've had a huge, huge influx of Chinese investors into gold. And most Chinese investors don't have any means to go and invest in the ETFs that exist in Hong Kong because they're on mainland China. So it would open up the door for some very, very, very hungry Chinese investors who are looking at their real estate market continuing to weaken, and it's continuing to weaken, and who are already rushing to buy gold. I think you're going to have a big door open up for a lot of people who want, Alex is here, a lot of people who want to buy into a digital gold. I think it's going to be a big influx of interest out the gate.
The assumption you're making is that people who are in China don't have access to crypto, and my understanding is that is incorrect. That though it has been banned, most of the liquidity that is measurable in size is already finding ways to buy crypto. even though it's not legal. That because it's been banned so many times, and because people in China who are significant investors have the blessing of the state, or they have VPNs, like the numbers are there. But is that not the case?
I think that's the case because that's what I hear too. But at the same time, people do things that are easy, and that's how you get the majority of people in. If there's like an extra few steps, you don't have people do it, right? And I think there's a huge untapped percentage of people in mainland China who would invest in Bitcoin and crypto who just don't do it. Because people don't do things if there's like an extra step or two. People don't do things if they're not in the know. People don't do things in China if the Chinese national government says not to do it, because it's not good to do the thing the government says not to do. So I think there's a very large percentage of the people who have the money and the know-how, they're already connected to Hong Kong. They can go and buy those ETF products. They can go and buy altcoins if they want through whatever. They have the means, the capability, and the barriers of protection to be able to do that. But I think you have a huge portion of the very, very large middle class in China, huge middle class in China, who that would open up a gateway for. Then it also is just a really good positive PR event that would blow up things in the US too, because whenever you have a crypto related big thing happening in China, if you look at the chart for when China banned it, for when China banned crypto, when it banned crypto mining, and when it unbanned crypto mining, and went back and forth and stuff, you see large swings in Bitcoin's price from American investors. My brother's in here. China. 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 But I feel like it would be a really big positive event. And then I feel like the race is on again with US investors looking at the Bitcoin ETF being like, oh, damn, China's going to grab a bunch. Maybe I should start grabbing some again. I think it kicks off a snowball effect.
So, Alex, welcome to the show. We've been talking a little about Bitcoin. Will gave us an update on his flea market day, which sounded very fruitful. We have a couple questions. We have some folks who wanted an Arrow update. We've been just addressing the question of DCAing. And I, of course, teased the Toblerone story. So there are a lot of directions we could take this. Do you want a second to pull up your Toblerone story while Will gives us an Arrow update? Will,
I say Toblerone story as soon as we possibly can.
Toblerone, yeah.
The people I know the Toblerone story.
Okay, so I teased it as a guy was held up with a candy bar, but I'm going to need you to fill in some context here.
It was worse. He was bludgeoned with a Toblerone.
Bludgeoned? Had it been in the freezer?
Was it like the giant one?
I don't know if it was one of the like novelty humongous ones, but here's the thing. I encourage everyone to read this article. I tweeted it yesterday because I've read it 4 times now, and every single time I've ended with more questions than I started with. Was the Toblerone frozen? What exactly does assaulted with the Toblerone mean? Just all sorts of things. And then the Bitcoin part just makes no sense. So there actually is some crypto involved here. But essentially what I've understood from this is that multiple people broke into this guy's house and scared the crap out of him, kind of held him up. Although there were no firearms involved, the weapon of choice was a Toblerone, very specific, chocolate bar. And that he was violently assaulted with this chocolate bar to the point where he was so scared that he transferred his Bitcoin to the attacker's wallet.
Man.
Now, the confusing part is that the headline of this story was that the authorities had seized 23.8 BTC, which is a lot. But then also, the story made it sound like they recovered the stolen Bitcoin from this guy who was robbed. And then the response of the authorities was to sell it and give him some money, which makes no sense. Like, if someone stole my Bitcoin and we go through the court process and it's recovered, give it back.
Right.
Yeah. So 23.8 BTC was seized. and yet only 100,000 pounds was given back to this guy. So the math does not math.
I like to think that the court looked at each other and like, all right, we should give this guy his money back. And then they all looked and like, do we trust a man who was beaten with a mushy chocolate bar to properly hodl this Bitcoin? No, I don't think so. No, just give him 100,000 pounds. We're gonna give this to some better people.
But then, like, you know, the story was so vague that I don't know if like this includes Bitcoin that they also seized from other stuff, because it also says that an undisclosed amount was taken from this man. So I'm like, how do you know exactly how much was seized, but you knew but you don't know how much was taken from him, but you did know how much money to give back to him? And why was it sold in the first place? If property was stolen, property should be returned if property was recovered. Like, I totally get it if the attacker, you know, like sold the Bitcoin and now it was in cash format and they fined the guy, but like nothing about the story made any sense. So Scotland, what the hell is going on?
I don't know. It makes a little more sense to me now knowing it's in Scotland. Everyone was drunk. No one has any recollection as to what happened. Everyone's just way too hammered to properly go through the justice system. They also forgot how much Bitcoin there was. They just gave him some money. Someone wrote the article also drunk and just grabbed pieces of different stories while eating a Toblerone bar. Instead of saying like, it was a crowbar they used. He's like, Toblerone bar. Oh, there was a Toblerone bar. It was fucking egregious.
Well, tell him about it. Yeah, I'm convinced this might just be a PSYOP PR move for Toblerone candy bars.
It could be. Honestly, the thought did occur to me because I'm like, why are we going so far out of the way to specify what brand of chocolate it was? But just basically, like at first I grabbed it for the headline roundup just because I was like, that's kind of funny. And then I read it repeatedly and I'm like, oh my God, like, and now I'm deep into the Toblerone bludgeoning rabbit hole.
I'm just asking myself the question, the same point where it's like, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? I'm like, how many swings of a Toblerone bar against somebody's body does it take for a frozen Toblerone bar to then become mushy goo? And or same question for a room temperature Toblerone bar. You know, like that's a commercial for Toblerone.
Don't forget, Will, that the Toblerone bar could have been chosen because of its interesting box shape and design, and perhaps the structural integrity of.
Oh, you're not going there. You're not going there.
I mean, he's a mechanical engineer. You know,
was better suited to bludgeon someone with because there is a weight-bearing wide end which concentrates to a pointed edge. It's essentially a cutting edge. It's close to a cutting edge as you can get.
I really thought you were going in the direction of a probe. Is where I thought you were going with this.
I've been taking very careful steps not to lead us down the road.
I would love to fast forward in time, like 10 minutes into our live right now, and all of a sudden I have the whiteboard and there's like some quadratic equation about how the Toblerone bar, how long it would last before it melted and became goo.
So we've just turned into the gif of that man calculating the numbers like,
all of a sudden, this entire show switches from cryptocurrency to just chocolate physics.
The logistics of chocolate physics.
So the show is not, in fact, sponsored by Toblerone, but it could be, and this might be the day we get that deal because of this segment. So if you've got a crypto question or if you've got a connection to Toblerone, let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, feel free, if you're one of our community members, to request and join the show. Where do you guys want to take it from here?
Just real quick, the actual crypto piece of this story that I think is at least worth a quick mention, like Bullish Bear just said in the comments here. The concerning part to me that jumped out was not the chocolate assault. It's the fact that the authority, because this wasn't even specifically listed as the government. It was just listed as the prosecution in the article. So I don't know which prosecutor this was, if it's like, and I don't know what the Scottish legal system breakdown is. I don't know like what the equivalent of, ADA, DA, whatever in Scotland is, but it's really concerning to me that Bitcoin was stolen, Bitcoin was recovered, and then it was sold. Like there was nothing to indicate whether the guy approved that. Maybe they asked him, maybe they didn't. I just don't know. Don't worry, Ethicalish. We will absolutely address the elephant in the room, which is Will Watson's brother, Will Watson, being in the chat right now.
William Christopher Watson.
You can dress it up however you want, Will and Will, Watson and Watson. The fact of the matter is
Watson and Watson.
that
Watson
is
and
absolutely
Watson.
worth.
Will and Will.
Yeah. So Alex Anthony says that we only recovered some of it. That detail was specified that they figured out which of these guys was the criminal mastermind of this robbery, and through pressing him or arresting him and doing whatever, they did recover the Bitcoin, and they recovered 23.8 Bitcoin. So that's a shitload. I don't know the math off the top of my head, but it's a lot more than 100 grand. Hell, 2 is more than 100 grand. And I don't know what the exact dollars to pounds ratio is right now, but I'm sure that it's not enough to make 23.8 Bitcoin equal 100,000 pounds.
No. It's
Anyway.
way off.
That part is just really weird and really concerning. And I could imagine, that we'll start to get to a point, including in the United States, where it becomes more and more commonplace that we see someone held up or mugged and forced to transfer digital assets, especially that's probably already a thing with someone hey, get in. I don't have any cash on me. Okay, great. Well, you have your phone. Transfer me the money right now, kind of thing. I totally expect this to happen more, and I don't want some sort of weird ass precedent to get set wherein authorities get to sell the assets that were stolen from you instead of returning the specific stolen assets to you, especially when they're able to recover them like this. That's obscene. That was concerning for sure.
That's one of the reasons why crypto is a bipartisan issue, and whoever is elected, more than having a president who is pandering or in favor of one thing, we need to have political leaders who take clear policy positions, and they should be informed from people they represent. It's important for us to tell this story because that is an issue that all of us should be concerned about.
Yeah, because it seems like a no-brainer to us, but we haven't thought about it, and there is no legal precedent set for this right now. But an NFT being stolen from you at gunpoint, if it's recovered, it should be returned to you. We see crypto-related crime all the time with wallets being drained, all this kind of stuff, and I would like to think that eventually, we will get a little bit better at hopefully being able to track down stolen assets and get them returned. I know there are projects that are working on that or try to offer services like that. Stolen asset recovery. So again, that's a great point, Evan, that, I've never heard a single, politician, either pandering or currently elected, that has ever addressed, trying to establish better legal precedent for just crypto related crimes.
Real quick, will you delete this comment with the secret words? I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'm sorry, this is sort of a side note, but I have seen an increasing amount of comments where people say something like, I have crypto on this one says SafePal wallet. I'm not familiar with SafePal. I've seen an increasing number of comments with wallets I don't recognize where someone says, these are my secret words, can you help me withdraw? And I'm pretty sure it's a scam. And I don't understand the nature
It's a very specific scam that I can define really quickly. So that is a common scam. The way that it is set up is that someone will reach out to you and simply say, hey, I have X $1,000 worth of whatever in this wallet. I need your help to transfer it. Can you please help me? You can keep some of it or something like that. And so what they want is they want you to go into this wallet wherein there is a bunch of tokens, except there's no gas. And so what they want you to do is deposit some gas into that wallet so that you can make the transaction. It's starting to die out just because gas is getting so cheap that it's becoming increasingly more and more inefficient to run a scam like this, but it still does happen. I get them from time to time. So essentially what they want is they want you to send gas money to the wallet so that you can withdraw this stuff. And all they're going to do is, siphon the gas out before you have a chance to do anything, and then lock you out of the wallet, kind of, or drain it and do whatever, move on.
Yeah, well, they've been banned, reported, and muted. So
perfect. Yeah. So it's
very much.
Yeah,
and SafePal. Yeah, I guess I didn't recognize it, but yes, the cold wallet SafePal. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Real quick too,
Also,
the chocolateassault.eth, if you want it, is available.
Chocolate
Sounds like
assault.
somebody's Call of Duty alt account. The Chocolate Assault. It's just 0.002 ETH. So for what's that? What's that these days? Like $5? It could be yours.
It could be yours. That's amazing. But on the topic of scams, on the topic of asset recovery, I do want to mention to everybody here, because we got a bunch of people here, if you guys need any help at times, we have people in our Discord community. One person, Aaliyah, reached out to us and said, hey, I think I just had $1,500 stolen in a scam, please help. And we were able to help actually direct her to find her money that was still on chain, that she still had access to, and helped her to recover those $1,500 pretty damn fast. So if you ever have questions about where your money is, how to do this thing, how to transfer your tokens, how to update tokens, if there's a migration, reach out, join us in our Discord. You can find the links to that on all of our bios. If the links don't work, send us a DM. We'll get you in there. It's just great to either have a community to build a network in, have a community to reach out to for help when you are confused, because a lot of this stuff is new, and a lot of it is confusing and new, even to us, because this technology is always changing. So hop on in there, guys. We're here to help you.
Thank you.
Also, my brother says, protect yourself against the crypto hamburglar, which is also true. Yeah.
So do you want to give people the TLDR on the name situation, Will? Because
Yeah. So
Last
due
I
to the
checked,
name
there's what,
situation-
6 or 7 Will Watsons in your family?
No, there are 5.
thank you very much.
So also, I just opened some One Piece cards that I got at the fair also, and
You just did it like under the desk?
yeah, just under the desk. These are the best ones, but I got a Sanji card, which is actually pretty nice. I like that. Anyway, so yes, my parents are not very creative. Great business people, not very creative. So I have 3 older brothers. My oldest brother is Lane William Watson. The next brother is Heath William Watson. So the first names are different. My next brother is then William Christopher Watson, but they wanted to call him Chris out the gate. But my parents were like, William Christopher Watson sounds better than Christopher William Watson, which I don't know. The eyes of the beholder, right? Makes more sense to some people than other people. And then I was born, and I was my dad's 4th son, so he gave me his name. So I'm William Harrison Watson IV. So there's actually even there have been 3 other William Harrison Watsons also directly just copying our name. Yeah. And then my brother goes, he also wants to make sure that we never forget that we came from him. Your name's William, and your name's William, and your name's... I'm amazing. Your name's William. Yeah, so that's it. I think I've had this singular conversation more times in my life than any other conversation. However, it has saved money on family gym memberships because we just pay once and just put our name down as William Watson, and then boom, everybody goes in and out, easy, real quick. It's like $2 for a gym membership when we're all together in the same place, but that hasn't happened in a long time.
Jury duty would probably be a lot easier, if I'm being honest. Like, you could do so much if there were just a few more of you.
I know, right? I've lost months of my life on this conversation. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We do have a lot of good questions in the comments, and I've been writing them down. The number one question we're getting, Will, is about Arrow. But if you see something where you want to take it, you're hosted, man. Drive it.
So the fundamentals of Aerodrome are strong in terms of its TVL, but if Bitcoin keeps sliding, Aerodrome should do horrifically. So let's talk about this. So this is DeFi Llama. If you guys don't know, DeFi Llama website is right here, right? If you want, this measures the amount of money being put onto a decentralized finance application, which Aerodrome is. It's a decentralized exchange, right? Place where people can go and buy altcoins and other types of things that aren't available on things like Binance or Coinbase, right? All that sorts of stuff, and some other things. But that's the important thing to note. Now, this is the total value locked on Aerodrome. It's $570 real million, right? This isn't market cap. This is $570 million on Aerodrome. This is USD. And despite the bear market or the bear run that we've had, it's holding up pretty nicely. That's really, really good. Now, if we switch this over to ETH, we see that the amount of Ethereum is actually climbing. This is a really, really, really good sign of health. This is a really good positive sign. Now, this tells us that more and more people are using Aerodrome, or at the very least, more and more people are putting more and more of their money on Aerodrome, and that its fundamental adoption is continuing to rise. All right. So what that tells me is that if the crypto market, by that I mean Bitcoin, can turn around, Aerodrome should perform phenomenally if it can turn around soon. But the issue is that right now, as we talked about earlier, we showed the Bitcoin chart earlier, if you guys didn't see it, we are very much so in a downtrend, a really locked in downtrend right now for Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, like really locked in. So if Bitcoin goes down for another, let's just say 5-6 months, right? Aerodrome should be one of the worst performing altcoins. And the reason why is because Aerodrome has a very aggressive inflation of its
token
data
unlock
schedule.
schedule.
Yeah, the token unlocks that get added to the market is very, very, very aggressive. I forget what the stat is. I forget what the inflation is right now, but it's one of the more aggressive out there for pretty much any altcoin. So if Bitcoin keeps going down and that brings all altcoins down with it, as people just sell, Aerodrome should fall even harder and faster, because Aerodrome will fall as people sell it, but it'll fall faster because there's this extra weight of all this added supply being pushed onto the market that's pressing it down further and further. So that's the thing. So Aerodrome is either one of the best altcoins you could have in your portfolio, or one of the literal worst things you could be holding onto right now. And there's very little room for discussion for anything in between, in my personal opinion. And that's where we are with Aerodrome. You know, that's the situation. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or opinions on Aerodrome other than that.
Only that I can't find it on token unlocks, which seems weird.
It's not on token unlocks.
Why wouldn't they do that? Like, surely that's a highly requested token.
Yeah, I don't know. If you want to look up their tokenomics, you have to go into their white paper. I've done it before. I keep putting in Aerodrome into token unlocks. Like each time people, I'm like, surely now they've added it, and it's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. Surely now they've added it. No, okay. Will, would you exit at a certain level on Aerodrome? So guys, I exited Aerodrome. I bought Aerodrome at 9 cents. I left it at 55 cents. I could have sold it at over $2, but I was still pretty sure that like the bull market 4-year cycle was still on at the time. And now I'm just kind of like on the fence, sitting back, just being like, cool, I don't not believe the 4-year cycle is still holding up, but I'm also in a position where it's like, I want to see Bitcoin and the crypto market prove to me that it's still on before I re-expose myself and my hard-earned money into the market. I want to see strength first, because, you know, otherwise I'm just catching a falling knife. So, and the market's just very, very different right now with the ETFs, with, you know, there being a lot of recession fears, with rate cuts coming around the corner and how that typically turns out, not all the time, but more often than not, it is a bearish event. Not that rate cuts are bad, mind you, they're good long-term. You know, it will be a boon to the industry, but having these high interest rates for longer creates a lot of pressure on financial markets and a lot of pressure on the economy and a lot of pressure on the amount of money that people have, along with inflation. We can talk more about that too, but so yeah, I have all my Bitcoin still. I can sell my Jupiter now at any time, which I will do now that it's unstaked. But I'm going to try to see if we can get like a green day here or there. You know, we do have a lot of news events this month. We have a lot of news events. The Bank of Canada makes their rate decision today. They're probably going to cut. That's the Bank of Canada. Tomorrow, the Fed Beige Book is released. And what the Fed Beige Book is, it's the U.S. Fed, so the U.S. Central Bank, releases a book on their overview feelings and analysis of the macroeconomic market. So we get to see what the Fed's really thinking in like a ton of detail. It's something that doesn't get a lot of coverage because it's very detail orientated and it doesn't create like a big like marketing headline. We have that coming up. And then on the 6th, we have U.S. jobs reports. The U.S. jobs reports still come out really strong, you know? That might be a boon for the market, or at the very least, it might like raise the low that we're going towards, right? So there's a lot of things coming out this week. The big thing that could then just tank everything, though, is on September 8th. What is on September 8th is the Japanese GDP numbers are going to come out. If you guys don't know, a lot of thanks, Cosmic. All eyes have been on Japanese markets. Oh, yeah, all eyes have been on Japanese markets because we had the Japanese carry trade. If you guys don't remember that, it's like 3 weeks ago.
I think people have blocked it out from the trauma.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago now. The Japanese carry trade happened that sent crypto down in stock markets, collapsing. And so what happens there is the Japanese Fed said, hey, we're going to increase rates for the first time in a long time. And then it caused the US dollar's valuation against the yen to plummet, and it liquidated a lot of people's positions. So a lot of people had to go and sell stocks, like US stocks and things like that, to get cash to go and cover their positions in Japanese markets. That's why markets tanked. And so a lot of eyes are on the Japanese market right now. In the Japanese stock market, the reason why the stock market, we had such a red day in crypto yesterday, and the reason why the US stock market took a big dip too, was because Japanese markets really fell off a cliff. And that is creating a lot of fear, because Japan is what? The 4th largest economy in the world?
I think that's right.
3rd largest? You know?
It's after
massive.
India and China, I think it is Japan.
Yeah, so they're 4th. So what happens in Japan is a big deal. And we just had the stock market in Japan fall apart. And I think a lot of people who are in the know that these Japanese GDP numbers are going to be bad. And I think you're seeing people sell and get out of the market before that news releases. So we have.
And real quick, Will, can I interject to say that for people who want to play along at home, you would go to federalreserve.gov. They not only have a calendar of events like releases, but also if there's going to be any kind of report, somebody's going to make a speech. If there has been a meeting and you want to get caught up, they have all of the minutes, all the summaries, everything is there at federalreserve.gov. Please continue.
Yeah. No, good ad, Evan. And also, Bullish Bear, when will the news be released regarding Japan? It's on September 8th. I don't have the time because it should be based on Asian market times. But let me just see if I can Google it. When is Japanese GDP number? When are correct grammar? September 8th. I'm not seeing a time right now. But the next release is happening at 23:50, so it'll be happening at 11:50 Eastern Standard Time. PM.
Oh, today.
Yeah. No, on the 8th.
Oh.
On the 8th. So again, it's during Asian market time, so it's basically midnight for us on the East Coast, if you're on the East Coast. So, you might go to sleep and then just wake up and just, yeah.
Well, and I think all of this, as you're catching up on the comments, Will, I think in all this, it's important for people to, as you take in information, the number one question we see is this a good time to buy? What should I buy that'll go up today? Is it going to go up or down in the long run? And what we want you to take away from all this, as you arm yourself with information, the goal is not to take it from Will or from me or from Alex in order to make a decision. The goal is to start to understand how to use this information to build conviction for yourself about the current and future landscape. When you're learning about Bitcoin, you're reading the white paper, you're going to look up the tokenomics at the Arrow website, all of that is so that you will have another tool in your toolkit, so that if Will has a cold or I'm off in the woods somewhere and Alex is flying a helicopter and you can't reach us with a should I buy, should I sell, which we're not going to tell you anyway, you won't need to, because you're going to know how to navigate this space in a way that gives you confidence. You shouldn't buy anything you don't have conviction in, and especially not because somebody on the internet told you to. We want you to get to the place where we're at, which is, maybe foolish, but at least we're moving around like we feel like we know what we're doing a little better. We get stubbed less, That's where we're taking you. So, not a bad question. No such thing as a bad question, but use this information to inform your inquiry. Build conviction for yourself.
Yeah.
To make that... Go ahead,
Ghidorah, also bearish.
Rodan, sideways. Hard to say. He's undecided. So I wanted to. So the question that prompted, I think, that line of thinking there, Evan, was specifically about Beam from Cookie down here, and can use it as an example to sort of paint a picture of like what does that look like.
Okay.
So if the question is Beam a good buy right now? My answer was it depends on your time frame, because if your time frame is I need to flip something real quick, then I would not say that any particular cryptocurrency is like the sure thing for that. So the question that I would be asking myself if Beam was the specific project that I was interested in is how are they currently handling this downturn? Is their operation still like up and swinging? Am I seeing like good communications from them? I just posted like a 7.5 minute gargantuan video yesterday. I would take Beam and walk it through that entire guide and answer all of those questions for myself. Because if I see Beam, and I don't know, honestly, I haven't looked at Beam in a little while. So, if they're constantly communicating, things are still good, games are working and coming out, the team is, hanging out, talking to people, doing spaces, whatever, making the best of the situation despite the fact the token's down. I always say, if the price of the token being down means that you have to stop operations of your project, it was a bullshit project to begin with, and that's the single biggest red flag that I could ever see. I will leave and never come back. So if that's happening with Beam, I would be hyper cautious. The little bit of nuance there, of course, is with a project like Beam, you'd have to make sure that like the reason that Beam is going down is not because Beam sucks, but because all the games that are there are just like giving up. That would be one difference. Although if they don't have the ability to grow and scale and add new users and new products and new teams, then I would also be concerned about that. So it's just like there's no real easy way to answer that question. It would really depend. Do you have long-term faith in Beam? If the answer to that is yes, or the answer to any question about any crypto is, yeah, I have long-term faith and conviction for XYZ reasons, then sure. Adding some while markets are crashing, understanding that tomorrow it could go lower, the day after it could go lower. The best quote I've ever heard about, prices going down is that this is crypto. It can drop 99% and tomorrow it can drop another 99%. Like that's possible. Yep. So you got to keep that in mind and just ask yourself, do I think that within my time frame, if I'm looking at a 5-year, 10-year, 1 year, whatever, how confident am I that this is going to be worth more than it is right now? Holy shit.
That's cool, Gal.
Wow. Thank you very much, Jose.
Thanks,
Joe's Daily. Speaking of Joe, sorry, we'll go ahead.
Oh no, what I was going to say on that too is, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is you have your altcoin bag and you're really emotionally tied to it, and you're like, this coin's the coin. This is absolutely it. With every altcoin, it's a very dangerous position to be in. Very, very dangerous position to be in, because. If we have a bear market and you're like, I'm just going to hold this coin down because next when the market turns back on, it's just going to go up. What you should be doing is don't do that with almost any altcoin, because 99% of the coins that were really hot this cycle, and I'm saying the ones that were really hot right now over the past from 2023 into halfway through 2024 that performed great are never going to perform well again. Right? The overwhelming majority of them never are. A lot of the projects are going to die because, like Alex said, in the case of, he was talking about Beam. Beam could be totally fine and great, but they stop building. They stop, in the case of a gaming infrastructure play, they stop having new games come online and be put out. They stop communicating with people. They stop having their developer team continuing to tweak things, which you can see on GitHub and stuff. They stop communicating to people on Twitter. And they just go quiet, right? That's going to happen to 98% of the really good projects that people have been invested in right now. If Bitcoin continues to go down, right? They're going to completely go away. And maybe they'll bump up from like their very, very bottoms up like 100, 200, 300%. But if you held all the way down, you're still down 85%, from where you bought it at highs before, right? That's the danger you find yourself in. So when Bitcoin's in a big bear trend, you have to wipe all of you have to flush your brain and your emotional connections to altcoins and start over again. Okay, go, cool. Who is still building? Who is still communicating? And then you have to keep your eyes on which trends are going to be hot again because it's going to be a totally new batch of trends that are going to be hot with maybe a few familiar faces. A few familiar faces are going to pop up there. You're going to have some projects make it, but you have to be ready to cut every single altcoin off, reevaluate, because a coin that you thought you had 100% conviction in could be at zero. And the odds are higher that it's at zero than it being recovered. So you need to be paying attention to the market, what these projects are doing, and what trends are starting to heat up again when Bitcoin starts posting higher lows on long-term time frames. It's something you have to do if you're investing in the space.
Alex, I got the sense that you wanted to switch, but I wanted to add just a quick thought about people who are looking to swing trade, because I feel like a lot of people want to learn how to do that. It's right up there with passive income. Is it cool if I just make a suggestion to those folks real quick and you guys add your color?
Go for it.
Go for it.
If that's something you want to do, that Will showed us the other day, his creator insights, the number one question people are searching for related to crypto right now is how to trade crypto. How do I trade crypto? And I think what a lot of people want to know is, how do I buy and sell crypto in order to make more money? I would personally advocate, and I think the numbers support this still, that most people who trade, who try to time their buys and sells, don't make as much money as the people who buy in over time and then hold for a long time enough to sell when it's up, similar to the stock market. But if you do want to swing trade, because cryptocurrency tokens are quite volatile, something I would recommend you do to build conviction is, first of all, you got to know how to do it. Go on KuCoin, go on Kraken, go on, whatever exchange you wanted to use, and learn how to actually do it. Get familiar with what the fees are. Get familiar. Do they have the token you want to trade? And I would just pick one token. I think too many people make the mistake of trying to trade many different tokens at one time, especially as beginners. Pick one token. And I would recommend, for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to use a past example. You would look at the token Solana, Sol, the token of the Sol network. Sol, the token of the Solana network. And I don't know if I can get this Solana chart up in time, but what I hope to impress to you is, over time, you can kind of get to know your favorite token's personality. You can see that many of them, for a fair period of time, will have a sort of range that they tend to trade in. Another one you could look at, if you wanted to study this, might be XRP. Hang on, I'm moving out. It tends to have that kind of movement. Oh, I got to move out. How far back do I have to go to get?
Official, Evan's a part of the XRP army. Official, here, clip it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, the show is not sponsored by XRP, but it could be, and it might be a better use of their money. Oh, damn it. Hang on.
No, I think I'm okay.
So look at this. Just look at this. This is Sol, the Solana chart since March. Okay, this is March of this year. And just before March, this is the start of March. So look at this. This is $130 and this is $200. But it kind of ranges between like a 180 and 130 range. Mm-hmm. So if I wanted to make money trading Solana, and I wouldn't have to be active every single day, but I could get used to this. If I had seen that this is what it was doing for 3 months, then a few months ago, I could have bought when it was low here at about 130. And then if I had been paying attention to its habits, I could have built conviction that it was likely to go up again to about 180. And I could sell as it got close from 130 to 180. What is that, guys? We're talking like almost, it's over 30%.
30%.
And then on the way down again, if you had sold it here, you could buy it at a discount and your money pile grows. So that's the example of the kind of trade. Some people will do that all day. They'll just play like pinball with it. But it's not a terribly risky trade from the perspective that I could have spent months deciding, watching to see, do I think it's going to do this? To build the conviction that yes, I do. There are many such tokens like that. You don't need to be trading every second of every day to capitalize on the volatility of the crypto market. If you want to learn how to do it, that would be the place I would start, is with a bigger token that you think is going to be around for a long time and that you can watch, so that when it feels right, you can make a move and you can feel good about it with money that you can afford to lose. So if it goes up or if it goes down, you're not going to be heartbroken. You guys have anything to add to that?
Yeah.
I'm not much of a trader. But that's how I trade when I do.
I think there's some important nuance there, as there is usually with things in crypto.
Absolutely.
There's a very famous phrase, right? Time in the market beats timing the market every time. I think that there is a very big but when you are talking about crypto specifically. Time in bullshit assets is going to get you hosed every single time.
I was about to jump in on that. Yes.
Which is exactly why all of the research methods that we describe all the time are so important. Because you can pick a token that is being shilled right now. I don't care. There's always a couple. And you can dollar cost average into that thing. And you can, like, these are all, like, dollar cost averaging, time in the market. These are all principles that have been set up looking at things like the S&P 500. Not Obama, Shiba Inu, Dusk, Moj, whatever. Okay?
Oh, I'm about to do Dusk Moj. That's my new meme point. Oh my god.
So you can spend 30 years in a pile of shit and it's not going to do anything for you except lose all of your money. So with that, like, these are principles that I would probably basically only apply to Bitcoin in the crypto sense when I'm talking about like a long-term overview.
Yes.
Like if I was trying to swing trade the S&P 500 index, I would call myself a moron. But if I was looking at something like Solana that's doing a 40% swing every few weeks, that might be, more of a thing that I'm interested in learning how to do because SHIB, great example. Would I be dollar cost averaging and looking at time in the market for SHIB? Absolutely not. No, I simply would not. You can't take a principle applied to one titanic example of investing like the S&P and then apply it to a token that's been alive for 6 hours that some nameless guy on Twitter told you was a good idea.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're always being rational and objective and hypercritical. Like literally, you should probably just assume the worst of every cryptocurrency until they prove you wrong. I would completely flip the innocent until proven guilty to guilty until proven innocent in the crypto space.
Yeah, 100%. Because time has shown us that the overwhelming majority of crypto always has been and always will be Ponzi schemes, horrific projects, small businesses that mean the best, but most small businesses fail and collapse, right? It's most of it is a pile of dirt. And I say that as someone who loves crypto and loves this space because there's so many great things that do come out of this space. But percentage-wise, based on the total sample size you have, is it's very low for high-quality things. And if you want types of cryptos, types of altcoins specifically, because Bitcoin, if you play the game of I'm trying to play those swings and you don't set a stop loss, which is something that, you have your buy position, then you're like, cool, if it gets to this level, I want to be out in case it doesn't do the thing I thought it was going to. You're right, just to preserve your capital. If you don't set that, right, which you should, and you slide downwards. With Bitcoin, you're like, okay, cool, this might take a while, but Bitcoin's probably going to be at a higher point again later down the line. Like, I'll be okay if I can hold on to this and I don't need this money immediately. With altcoins, it's not necessarily true, except for maybe some platform cryptocurrencies, some layer one cryptocurrencies like your Ethereum, your Solana, maybe Avalanche, maybe, other ones like that, because those are the types of cryptos that tend to get more user adoption amongst its targeted audience, which are developers who are building applications off of them, right? And create demand for their token for fees and things of that nature. So that's the only trend and category of altcoins that could, and still then it's a very small sample size, but could have the term time in the market is better than timing the market still apply, right? But still, just like Alex said, look at every platform cryptocurrency as guilty out the gates and allow them to prove to you that they are in fact innocent,
Yeah. Guys, I have to go in just a little bit, and I wonder, Alex had texted me last night about today is the day that the manual Polygon token migration has begun. Yes. Unless you had another more pressing topic, Will, is that something we could talk about? Because I would love to hear what you guys think about that and answer audience questions with you.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it myself. I just did a quick Google, and like the AI Google was like, if you hold Matic, or whatever the token is, Matic. Yeah. On the Polygon network, it'll switch to POL automatically. And I wasn't sure if that was right or not, but I haven't looked into it.
I got you. I posted this morning before we went live in Discord the link to the Polygon like official tech blog, which has a full breakdown and a guide, including the one link that matters. So this is what I mean, like, double check and feel free to post like before you do anything and click anything in the Discord so we can double check and help make sure that you're looking at the right thing. Because
Alex, where can they find the link to the Discord if they're not there already?
It's in all three of our bios. It's also at theriseupmorningshow.com.
Oh, God bless you.
There's a big problem in crypto with clicking on bad links and connecting your wallet to a bad thing and getting drained. I 100 million% expect that there are going to be, I'm sure there are already, scam bridges being shared and posted trying to get you to bridge your Matic to somewhere to switch it into POL. So the few things that you need to be aware of. The biggest, most important one is that if you're not sure, don't do anything, because there is no deadline on swapping these tokens over. Okay? You don't have to do it today. There is no deadline. There could be one in the future, but as of right, the community would have to vote on imposing a deadline, and it would take time to establish. So there is no deadline right now. So deep breath. Second, the vast majority of people probably don't even need to do anything. If you hold Matic on Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, or Huobi, which is probably most people who are using a centralized exchange, those exchanges at least seem to be supporting the migration automatically, which means that at some point in the very near future, you will look and you will no longer be holding Matic, you'll be holding POL. It's the exact same token. They're just changing the ticker, and it's going to do a few different things and expanded utility, all that good stuff. All of this information and way more detail is in this blog post that I linked in the general chat. The other thing to be aware of is that if you are holding Matic in a hot wallet on the Polygon blockchain, so you have your MetaMask and you have the Polygon network, and that's where your Matic is, again, zero action required. Don't click on any bridges. You don't need to do anything. There's no need for you to make any upgrades or do anything at all with your tokens. You're all set. The only people that need to do something are people who are holding Matic on ZK EVM Ethereum in their MetaMask. If you're not sure if that's you, you can talk to us in Discord and we can help you figure out where you're holding it. Most people are probably not holding it this way, especially if you just bought some Matic and you're just kind of hanging on to it. But again, that's why I stress that there is no deadline. So please don't just go click on a bridge link because someone on Twitter says, quick, before you lose all your money, like bridge your stuff over. Like
and then you lose all your money.
Then you lose all your money for real. Yeah. There is a MetaMask update that you can do if you hold if you hold Matic and you're bridging it or you're switching it to POL. But it's really simple. It's only aesthetic. And again, you can take your time doing it. That would just be to go into the RPC settings of your MetaMask and update the call so that it's POL instead of Matic. If you don't know what I just said, whenever you use MetaMask, you can use a bunch of different blockchains, right? Like you can use MetaMask for Avalanche, you can use it for Ethereum, you can use it for Base, you can use it for whatever. Whenever you add a new network, you fill out a little tiny sheet. It's like, what network do you want to add? What's the address of the network you're trying to add? What's its RPC? I honestly don't remember what that stands for off the top of my head. But all you need to do is just update that. Again, all of that information is on this blog post. And the only thing that's going to happen if you don't do that is that your wallet might still read the tokens as being called Matic instead of being called POL. But like the tokens are fine. They're not going anywhere. You're not losing any money. It just might look weird until you update that setting. But that's more of just like it's like hitting refresh on your browser to like get an update. Couple other little tiny things. You probably don't need me of all people to tell you this if you're a developer, but there are actually quite a few things that you need to do if you are a developer who's like running any protocols that use Polygon or Matic. Remote procedure call. Thank you. Crypto Never Sleeps. RPC stands for Remote Procedure Call. Appreciate it.
Which basically means you can access a program on a computer that is not near you as if it were local to you.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. The glasses on top of the glasses.
We'll
move on to the next topic. I don't know if you've ever been to the internet before, but people usually have questions about stuff. So I'm just being thorough with this explanation just because there's kind of a lot. If you have it in a cold wallet, you might need to do something. It depends on the cold wallet. If the one in question, if their dashboard software is going to support the migration, you probably have to activate it. There is a bridge that Polygon is hosting that you will use if you are one of the people that does need to bridge. Again, that link is in this. The long story short here is if you have any questions, if you're not sure, find us in Discord. All of the information's there. I just posted a video about it. The long and short of it is the vast majority of people probably don't need to do anything. If you're holding it on a centralized exchange, most of the big ones are supporting it. If you have it on Polygon and MetaMask, that's supported. If you're a developer, there's a bunch of stuff you need to do. All of that's on the blog. I'm not even going to waste all of our time with me trying to describe what devs need to do for all of their Polygon protocols, but there's a bunch of steps. They're all laid out right there. So
yeah, guys. And again, you can get to the Discord and the link in any of our bios. If that link doesn't work, send us a DM directly to us and we will get you a link to join so you can get to that link and the other helpful resources that we have in there for you, as well as direct access to us if you have questions. There's also a bunch of people in there who can also help you too, who are really knowledgeable, work in space, are lawyers, all that good stuff, man. It's a great community. Come on in and join in. The water's nice.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'd like to know, do you guys hold
people don't ask questions on the internet.
Do folks in the audience, are you guys holding Matic? Because I saw somebody, okay, it's time to move on, next topic. I was saying to Alex yesterday, I am shocked that I haven't seen more news coverage about this or more sentiment about this, because Matic is a widely used network. A lot of people build on it. People do stuff on it. I don't hold the token anymore. I have a little bit to do stuff with that I think is in a Coinbase wallet, so it should be fine. But do you guys hold it? And is that broader market sentiment, do you think?
I haven't held it in a long time just because layer 2 cryptos, for the most part, from a price-wise standpoint, just weren't doing great this cycle, even though they have a ton of adoption and they're super useful and needed in order to make sure Ethereum does well. And from a layer 2 standpoint, I was just really focused on base, and I just kind of ignored Poly,
Yeah.
I'm not currently invested in it, just because all of my investment has just been in holding ETH because it's the thing that underpins all of these different networks. And I basically just rotate between which layer 2 tokens I'm currently using that I need. And I was not participating in anything on Polygon. However, recently I've been looking back into it just because there's some pretty good developer and builder incentives happening as they work on expanding, probably in lieu of this. So I don't know, I might, get back into it if I can, apply to the Grant Foundation or something like that and get some traction going. But other than that, I'm not actively using Polygon for anything right now.
I have thought about getting it just so I can gamble on the U.S. election.
Dude, I know. I would like to try Polymarket.
To go on Polymarket and just gamble with very small amounts of money, just for shits and gigs. If you guys don't know, gambling is a huge use case in the crypto space. There are a bunch of decentralized casinos, if you will. One of the biggest ones, and they might be the biggest now. They're not the first ones to do it, but I think they're the biggest.
They are.
Is Polymarket. It's built on Polygon, and so you need some Polygon tokens, I think, or you just need ETH on the Polygon network.
That's
and then some stable coins on there, and then you can go gamble on a ridiculous amount of absolutely wild stuff that don't involve sports gambling. So it's just fun, but be responsible. After I tell you that, guys, gambling's addictive. I know we're in the crypto space. Altcoins are gambling and addictive. So be responsible. Take care of yourself. But throw a few bucks in, have a little bit of fun. Bet on Kamala. Bet on Trump. Bet on how many debates they have. Bet on how many times one of them blinks through the debate. It's wild the kind of things you can gamble on.
Yeah, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Evan, before
Crypto and responsible in the same sentence. Yeah, I know, weird.
before you hop, Evan, there was a question earlier just about, is the 4-year cycle, off, on, what are the general thoughts on it? And I would say simply that I don't know, I'm curious to get your thoughts first, just because I know you're about to head out, but kind of, we know that every single bull market, regardless, it was the same last time, it was the same the time before, but there's like always, a bunch of reasons that people say this is the last bull run for XYZ reasons. Like, it's never happening again for XYZ reasons. This time it's different for XYZ reasons, but this time it might actually be different. So what are you, what's your standing on it right now? What are you thinking?
My standing on it is that our industry is really too young for anybody to be using past performance as a predictor of future success. That patterns and trends, while clearly established, in retrospect, are not well enough established to be relied upon going forwards. Even the stock market, which we have hundreds of years of data for, is quite a new thing compared to, say, our highway system, which extends back to ancient Rome. It is a much easier thing to get some data on. And do not allow yourself to let people who speak with confidence, who have a lot of research they can take you through, lead you into thinking that anything is a sure thing. I would say that there are a lot of things different this time. There are a lot of things the same this time. Like, we're down in the fall of a halving year. But we also had sort of a short bullish period, followed by, as Will showed us at the start of the stream, this kind of equivalent period of bearish sentiment. Nobody has a crystal ball, which is why the most important thing to do is to build conviction in the thesis. By which I mean, understand what Bitcoin is and why it has value to people, so that you can make a decision about what you think it might be worth in the future. Not watching a line on a chart or a news event. You're trying to see what about the long-term future seems inevitable. That will help you predict the future more accurately. That's what I have to say. And then, I want to hear what you guys have to say. And I would like to give an unrelated final thought disclaimer. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that this cycle is different because they're all different, but
yeah,
yeah, this cycle is different because they are all different. But in terms of we don't have really good fuel for the 4-year cycle right now, because we've had Bitcoin go up mostly because of the ETFs, and the ETFs lock a lot of that liquidity up within those ETF shares, and you don't have the ability for Bitcoin liquidity to then easily and quickly go into altcoins, right? So that's created a bit of a bottleneck on the size of the pipe of Bitcoin money that can flow into altcoins. And that definitely hurts altcoins. It hurts altcoin season. It's going to hurt percentage gains across the board. Like, how many 50x's and 100x's could there be? Right, it's going to limit that a bit. So that has changed. And that could potentially result in a shorter cycle. Because when Bitcoin liquidity was going up and then could easily flow into altcoins, and then that expanded, then that went back into Bitcoin, and it created this give and take that ultimately helped things on both sides between Bitcoin and altcoins kind of go up higher. And this cycle, we had the ETFs, which are constraining the flow that can go into altcoins. And the only altcoin generating liquidity events that we've had have been the meme coin crazes. There's been pumped up fun on Solana. That did amazing, right? And created a bunch of liquidity in a small amount of hands for altcoins. And then they moved that money around to other altcoins, right? And created kind of a short-lived liquidity environment that, once it died down, didn't get picked back up again by Bitcoin liquidity flowing into altcoins, because again, the Bitcoin liquidity pipeline has been constrained a bit. And then the other thing on top of that is you'd go, okay, well, retail will pop in and improve the width of that pipeline. But the thing is because of inflation, the fight we've had with inflation for 2 years, people don't have a lot of free cash to go and invest in things. And retail largely invests in altcoins, but they would go and buy Bitcoin too, right? So the pipeline that we've had of available cash to go into risky assets like crypto has also been constrained because people just don't have a lot of free cash to spend on things because things are expensive and they're focused on, putting food on the table and gas in their cars and stuff like that. So this cycle very much so has been different because of so many different things, right? Of all those things I listed. But in short, you can say the amount of available liquidity to flow into altcoins has really been constrained for all of those reasons.
Well said.
Yeah. Alex, anything to add?
Yeah, just, I tend to shy away from the, it's going to be different. I mean, every bull run I've made, like the two back-to-back videos, what if it doesn't happen? What if it does happen? Basically just to point out the fact that like no one has any idea and I can very clearly make a case either side. It really just depends which one you're interested in listening to. You can find an opinion to validate any inherent feeling that you have. It doesn't matter what you believe. And, I always say, if you want someone to like lie to you to make you feel better, then sure, I guess I could lie to you if you want. But the fact of the matter is that, like Evan said, it's just a really young industry, all things considered, and we're still accumulating data that will be used to set precedent for decades going forward. And right now, this year, there are some very specific and monumental things that are different about the cycle, just like there were monumental different things about last cycle. We've never made an all-time high before the halving before. So that happened. How will that play into the rest of this year? Because historically, for the past how many halvings, you've had a halving, nothing really happens. We're kind of sideways, boring, crash, whatever, for months. And then end of the year, November-ish, October, November, December, things start to pick up. And then the following year is when you would get the bull run. And then it kind of does its thing for that year. It's shitty in the following summer. So summer of 2025 would historically be bad. And then you peak and then you're done and you take 2 years off and you come back. But things have changed and we just simply don't know. The global macroeconomic situation is different. There are different conflicts. There are different things that people care about. We're more aware of all sorts of stuff. The political landscape, for example, has not changed in our lifetimes or in most people's lifetimes. It's been basically the same machine forever. But now we're also hyper plugged in that we think it's changed just because people are paying closer attention, which is the case globally. There have been conflicts forever, but now with the spread and the permeation of news availability, everyone gets to see everything the instant it happens. I always make the example that my grandma was growing up, like at the time, only a couple states away from Albert Fish being an active killer. And she never heard of him. Can you even imagine living 4 states away from Albert Fish right now and not knowing who that was at the time? Obscenely impossible. And the same is true with crypto. So it's a boring answer, but like truly we don't know and we won't know until after it happens. If we did know ahead of time, we'd all be millionaires. So someone asks for the 50x gem, what's the Bitcoin bottom? What's the top? When is the top coming? If people knew that, they would be millionaires. But instead, we just have a gajillion people guessing on the internet based on whatever they believe. So I truly don't know what the cycle's going to do. I will probably have a little bit more educated guess after we see how this year ends. If we're sideways and bearish through the new year, I would be a lot more likely to say like, yep, to me, this really looks like the 4-year cycle has been broken the way that we've seen it thus far. But we just simply don't know.
Yeah, and there were 2 other comments here. One was essentially just like BlackRock buying Bitcoin has been bad, and then another one, and I like the comments. It was just like there are so many coins out there that there's market dilution. So I want to talk about both of those things because I think I understand the sentiment for both, and the market dilution I do understand as like an actual effect, but I do have a different take on it. So BlackRock buying Bitcoin is bad. I disagree. Also, remember, it's not just BlackRock, it's the investors through BlackRock, right? Yeah. So those individual people and hedge funds and companies and blah, 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 who all use BlackRock, right? So it's not just BlackRock. BlackRock buys 40% shares in Bitcoin mining companies. That's what they buy. And so like that's not bad because that is still a ton of removal of Bitcoin's supply off of the open market. That's a really good thing still for price to go up. The thing that we haven't had, though, is we just haven't had retail buying alongside of this, right? There hasn't been, because retail doesn't have money, right? So if we had retail buying, BlackRock also removing, retail could have propped that up a little bit more with removal of Bitcoin off of the system. That's available supply out there, right? It's a good thing long term, because yes, you do have hedge funds in there who are playing with markets. They buy Bitcoin, it goes up. They then set a short position on the futures market. They then sell their Bitcoin to make Bitcoin go down. They made profits off the Bitcoin they bought, and now they made profits off the short. It's the game that hedge funds play. But you have a lot of people in there who are buying and adding to long-term holding positions. So the amount of long-term holding positions that was going up before the ETFs was increasing, but now it's increasing at a faster pace, right? So this is still ultimately good for Bitcoin long-term. But I do understand, like, I don't like BlackRock. Like, sure, like, I get that. The other comment around market dilution is market dilution, which is just the saying that, like, it's harder now for you to do well with altcoins because there are so many altcoins and cryptocurrencies out there that are all eating at the cryptocurrency market cap, right? So that total market cap gets spread out across more and more coins. The thing is that is a real effect, sure. But if you are doing your research on altcoins, you're using DeFi Llama to see how much money is actually flowing into them. You're using DApp Radar to see how many people are going on and creating wallets. You're going on to token unlocks or crypto rank, and you're trying to see, how centralized is this token supply? Is it potentially something I should be worried about, or is it decentralized, right? Use some of these tools that we've talked about in various lives and videos, hop into our Discord, grow a community, learn about other things that you can use, and you can start finding for yourself altcoins that are proving to be a cut above the rest. And you can still find a coin at a $50 million market cap or below that goes to a $500 million market cap or a $1 billion market cap and make a lot of money. But you only do that if you can get into a coin before a bunch of influencers start talking about it and pumping it. And you can only do that if you know what tools you need to use to find coins that have good fundamentals, right? We talk about that all the time. We talk about those tools all the time. Thursday nights, we do altcoin reviews, right? Specifically on coins that you guys suggest in our Discord. And we talk about the tools we're using. We show them on screen. We do use Token Sniffer, a whole bunch of stuff, right? You can learn a ton, and we have other resources that you can get for free or for purchase for very low fees that can help you guide you through that process too. And even with all of the altcoins out there, like, you can still find very undervalued coins that then perform really, really well because they earn it. They are providing value to people. And if they're actually genuinely providing value to people, the odds of them going up as regards to an investment, so long as Bitcoin's going up, is much higher. And you can still find big, big wins in this market, despite it being a very crowded space. But that's why it's even more important to understand what tools do you need to use to navigate this on-chain data, because it's different. You have to be able to navigate this on-chain data to be able to find that yourself. So education is the biggest first step to take before diving into any investment.
Well, and honestly, in addition to on-chain data, you like, the on-chain data is a lagging indicator. I would say the number one investment you can make if you want to find stuff early is in your network. If you know the guy who's going to go to pump.fun and launch the token, or who's building the protocol that's going to bridge these two dApps that don't talk, like, that's the real alpha. And yes, the best way to do that is just to keep building community with people who work here, who live here, who hang out here. Absolutely.
Yes, that's the extra step. It requires more work, so you have to build that network. So, but it's worth it if you can. But if you don't have that, you don't have the time, you just don't care about it, make sure you're using correct tools, right? So, yeah, education.
I have to run. I have so enjoyed hanging out with you guys. And I just want to say to anybody who is hearing about QFS, especially in circles where it is prevalent, a lot of people, this is no hate to the token XRP, but a lot of people in the XRP community, a lot of people in the XLM community, for some reason, tokens with X have communities who are targeted with this rhetoric about an impending switch of a financial system. And while it may be true that there is some clandestine government plot to totally switch everything on us overnight, it is not true. that there is currently a quantum financial system. And anybody who is trying to tell you about preparing for QFS, preparing for the Great Reset, the financial switch, especially if they are reaching out to you unsolicited, is trying to separate you from your money. Many people have lost many dollars by either directly giving someone control of their wallet, sending people money, or in a less painful but just as bad way, paying people who say they have inside information. I used to work for the CIA. Join my exclusive community. It's just $99. Whatever. There is no exclusive information. There is no QFS. Those are scams designed to separate you from your money. Please, please don't fall for it. If you're skeptical about that or curious about that, or you got some information to the contrary, the place to air your argument is in the Discord. I would love to talk to you. You can join us at theriseupmorningshow.com. And you can follow all of us, because we will never reach out to you personally. We have lots of scammers that will, and we want to keep you safe.
Yep. One thing I want to add on, though, is if you hop into the Discord and you're like, hey, guys, I found this link. Is it a scam? Do not post the link in the Discord. That is a real fast way to get you banned. Do not do that.
If you got to post the link, you can DM it to us, or you can post it in Scam Alerts. The Scam Alerts channel is the place to post suspicious links, that kind of thing. We probably will remove them later. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and making my morning so great. I love hanging out with you every day, and I'll see you all in the chat.
See you, dude. Well, all right, guys. What other questions or Alex? I see you had a pen or pencil in your hand. Did you write some things down you want to cover?
Always. Yeah, just real quick, just because there's some. Why so angry? There's some discussion in the chat right now that I just wanted to address. So, Sammy, I would welcome the discussion, but as I always say, like, it's completely pointless to engage in a discussion if, like, your mind is made up. But for the people who may be reading along, the question here is about Bitcoin centralization and Bitcoin being crap because it's centralized, which was immediately preceded by the claim that, like, XRP is the best ever. So this feels worth addressing because then you told me that 51% of the hash power comes from 3 mining facilities in China, which took me about 14 seconds to verify as false. And anybody can look it up because the hash is public and you can look. So if you have a different resource that says that there are only 3 miners in China that are currently maintaining 51+% of the Bitcoin hash power, I would love to see it because apparently everything else is wrong. You can look up the Bitcoin mining heat map, which gives you
on that?
Yeah, which gives you a global picture of, let me turn this around. Gives you a global picture of everywhere that Bitcoin is being mined and at what percentage different countries are participating. You can also scroll through history and get this map throughout history because, remember when China banned Bitcoin mining and it like dropped and there was a huge thing that was like, summer of 21. So you can see here, the United States is maintaining on average per month 37.84. Here, let's actually go ahead and get a little bit more accurate because this time frame is a little old.
I feel like everyone's like, relax the nerves, Sir William. William, why? You look tense. It's just like the mention of XRP community attacking Bitcoin. It really triggers an old like reactive nerve and you just be like, XRP community?
All of this stuff is public. So like, here's just total hash rate, like as it stands now. And you can kind of track all this stuff. You can sort of tweak this. There's a gajillion different ways you can manipulate this. This is just blockchain.com, which is just a classic Bitcoin blockchain explorer. Will, do you remember the name of...
Wait, this guy's saying if Foundry and Via Bitcoin were to collude, they could take over 51%. Bro, what are you saying? Okay, hold on. Okay.
If Foundry and VIA were to collude, they could take over 51%. So wait, are we quickly just transitioning from saying that like mainland China controls 51% of the hash to now dealing in hypotheticals? Because hypothetically, MicroStrategy could buy 51% of the Bitcoin and control all of it by themselves.
Well, buying Bitcoin isn't Bitcoin mining.
Sorry, I mean buying Bitcoin Hash, buying all of the mining facilities. Michael Saylor could switch over and start buying miners instead of buying raw Bitcoin. It's just like the second we pivot from like, okay, here's a claim that was immediately proven to be false, so now I'm going to start dealing in hypotheticals and transition the argument. That's not an argument. You're just grasping at straws, dude.
Reminds me of Australia continuing to say in the Olympics, even though they were getting their asses kicked for gold medals, like they continuously moved the goalpost. Suck it, Australians who are in here. No, I love you guys. It was fun. The swimming was a great competition. Sorry, I broke up the conversation. Also, the biggest Bitcoin miners in the world aren't the ones that you mentioned, Sammy. What were the ones that Sammy said?
Like Foundry and Via.
Yeah, so the largest Bitcoin miners in the world are Marathon Digital Holdings, Phoenix Group, Core Scientific, CleanSpark, Riot Blockchain, TerraWolf, Iron. I don't even see any of the ones you mentioned in the top 10. So I'm not sure which ones you're looking at. But maybe this one, that's just one site. A site can be wrong. I'm trying to give you a little bit of wiggle room here, Sammy, but I think you're just getting bodied left and right.
Yeah, it's no one's hating on someone's success here. It's just like, I don't like it when someone boldly makes a claim that took 4 seconds to prove wrong and then like triples down on it. Like that is the behavior that my 11-year-old makes when you catch him forgetting to have brushed his teeth and he tries to convince you that he did. That's 5th grade boy energy.
Dude, I would love to see like your father-son talks. Just like,
Okay, apparently I shit on other people's success every day. Example would be cool.
Yeah.
But no, like, you know, this is all stuff that I encourage you to look up. I always don't take my word for any of this. Just go look up, you know, Bitcoin mining heat map, look up hash power distribution, look up, you know, the locations of these big mining companies, look up where all these facilities are. You can find stuff like the state of Texas, for example, became more welcoming a little bit ago and miners moved over there. Interestingly, the country of Kazakhstan capitalized on the fact that the Chinese government shut down Bitcoin mining in 2021, and a bunch of miners moved to Kazakhstan, which moved their position in the global hash rate contribution up significantly. And now it's a lot harder to find Chinese data on Bitcoin hash rate just because the government is still pretty wishy-washy and not super interested in hosting Bitcoin mining. So, you know, that whole thing is a little bit sketchy, but you know, you can find this stuff all over the place. This information is free. Nothing I just looked up is hidden behind any paywalls. Like, just look it up.
Yeah, just a quick Google and questions, and I think you'll help yourself.
If you don't like Google, you can use any search engine you want. They're all going to lead you to the same place.
Yes. Also, I did just pull up the largest Bitcoin mining companies by hash rate, and it is Marathon at number 1 with 29.9. In fact, I will show this on screen. Yes. So we have, and this is on the hash rate index. We have Marathon, which has 29.9 thousand. We then have Core Scientific at 20.4. We have CleanSpark at 17.3. Yada yada yada. You can see it's pretty decentralized. You know, 29,000, 20,000, 17,000, 12.6, 9.4, 8.7, 8,000, 7.7, 7,000, 5,000. You know, it's it's pretty decentralized, Sammy. So just go and give it a Google, man. You know, you don't have to believe us. You can believe your own searches, but you know, go for it.
No, anyway. There are, like, I'll admit to shitting on some successes. For example, the success of TikTok influencers who successfully grifted their audience by launching a pile of shit meat. I'll shit on that all day long. That's disgusting. But I don't know of anyone else's success that I shit on. I think you know, hating on people who are successful because you wish that you were more successful is, you know, just a mark of weakness. But if someone successfully stole something from somebody, I don't really know how to answer that, so I'm just going to move on. I guess.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this enough, but it was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. I had a really fun time with this.
No, thanks for the exercise and how easy it is to find free and open information on the internet.
Yeah, guys, practice this. It's useful. And then you get to have a lot of fun.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, any other final comments? Because I have a meeting at 10 that I want a few minutes to prep for. Oh, Bunches.
Bunches does not appreciate the slander
Bunches
of
is
free and
savage.
open information on the internet. Bunches also likes to argue, and as you can see, he came to this argument strapped to the gills.
Also,
So-
I'll hit you with Hadouken. You know, this is one of the
Yes.
guys I got at the flea market the other day. It's wonderful.
Oh, that is great.
I know. I love him. It's like a real life. It's like I didn't know they made NFTs in real life. Crazy.
Yeah, I'll share a couple of these links in Discord, and I would welcome anyone, especially skeptics, to come in and look at them. And if you find a problem with the source, I would love to know about it. My biggest flex is that I am willing to change my mind when I'm presented with new information. So I'm not willing to change my mind when you just repeatedly throw bullshit at me. That's just going to make me indignant and want to embarrass you. So that's what I will do. Because I'm petty. I'm very petty.
I'm a petty bitch.
I'm Tom Petty.
Well,
Will,
guys,
you have anything you wanted to touch on before?
I'm pretty well met. I think we've covered just about everything. So, guys, if you're not in the Discord, hop on in there. Come on in, join us. Basically, you get access to myself, Alex, Evan. We have a really big community of people who can help. If you have questions, people are helpful. You have questions for us specifically, helpful. If you can't find your money on certain chains, we can help guide you to try to find it. If you have questions about migrations, we can help you there. We got a really good community of people in there. So if you want to build your community in crypto and build the amount of connections you have with people who can help you, I'm craving a Toblerone. And if you want to get more jokes about Toblerone candy heists, or heists with Toblerone bars specifically as the weapon to intimidate people to give you, 28 Bitcoin or something like that, hop on in the Discord, guys. You can find the link in our bios. If the link doesn't work, send us a DM. We'll send you the link. But guys, that's it. Thanks for hanging with us. Hope you guys have a great, beautiful rest of your Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. And the rest of your week. We'll see you guys on another live and in the videos on our own separate TikToks. Have a great day. Make a bunch of money, do good things, be good people. See you, dude.